Okay, let's move into where we're at in Iran, because there is so much nonsense being spewed out about Iran right now. And one of the things being spewed about Iran is that they had no plan when they went in. Like Trump just made a gut check and one day woke up and was like, I'm going to bomb Iran with no plan whatsoever. Where the complete opposite is the truth. I mean, last year they took out Fordham, they took out their imminent nuclear capabilities, and then they watched and waited. What's Iran going to do next? And they prepared. You see, last summer, if we'd gone in, we weren't ready. The military needed more building up. We could not do a full-on assault. So we made our declaration. We showed Trump proved to the world that he can get in and out and end stuff. And we stopped the imminent threat. Well, that threat kept building and building, but also they were planning for it. And here's Bill O'Reilly talking to Glenn Beck today. And I want you guys to listen to this. O'Reilly has some of the best sources out there. The guy is still killing it. They pushed him out of mainstream media. They pushed him out of Fox News because, yeah, he's kind of a jerk. But you know what? A lot of these guys are. That's not why he got kicked out. He got kicked out because he was a little too truthful. He hit a little bit too much on the nose. And he's still doing good work out there, even though he's old and his voice is failing him a little bit. But here he is on Glenn Beck with the insider story of what really got us to this point with Iran. And I want you guys to listen to this because you're not going to hear this almost anywhere else.
Or what we're doing, what is coming, and what it's going to mean.
Okay, so a big gamble by President Trump, a big dice roll. And he reached a period in time, in history, where the CIA, NSA, all of our intel jibed with the United Nations and said, look, we knocked out a lot of their nuclear capacity in June of last year, but they have satellites and are close to being able to put together 10 nuclear bombs, okay? 10. And so that intel came in, and that obviously got Trump's attention. So there was a massive discussion for months about, all right, what do we do? Because what the mullahs did was they decentralized their nuke-making capacity. They spread it out rather than having it in one place. So then Mossad went in and Netanyahu, and I don't think the Trump administration is going to mind me saying this, even though it hasn't been made public, but I'm a reporter and I have the information. So Mossad went in and said, look, on this Saturday, the Ayatollah and 25 of his thugs are going to be in this place at this time. So what do you want to do? Now, that was after 3 months of negotiations with the Iranians to stop their nuclear weapons program. And the last negotiation in Geneva, Switzerland, the foreign minister of Iran, walks in and says, you know what? We're not stopping. Blank you. We don't care what you say. We're not stopping. And Witkoff, our chief U.S. negotiator, had a report back to Trump. So that's the information Trump has. Number one, they're close to 10 bombs. Number two, they're all going to be drinking tea on Saturday morning in this spot. And number three, they're saying blank you to the U.S. government. They're not going to stop. That's how the decision was made. Now, ancillary, everybody knows the midterms are coming up.
So there it is. And I've covered a couple of those things on my show already, but that way at least you hear it all together and affirmed by Bill O'Reilly and his sources. But exactly, they basically, Iran was starting to flip the finger at us and say, we're not stopping. And watching what they're doing right now with all that has happened, the way we've taken out their leadership, the way we bombed them to hell, like taking out their entire Air Force, their entire Navy, and yet they're just going to keep doing every little thing they can. And by the way, I'm just going to say it again because it makes me laugh every time I think about it. It's not with hypersonic missiles that they're hiding and they're just getting ready to really unleash hell. No, it's with, Habib and Kamal getting in little fishermen's boats and kamikazing themselves with some TNT into boats. This is how pathetic they're at right now. The Iranians and fighting back, but they're willing to do it because they're crazy. And the regime literally believes, martyrdom is something to embrace. And so they don't care if they die. They don't care how many people they kill. And what do you do with people like that? You can't make deals with these people because you can never trust them, because if they're just willing to die at any possibility, if they have no regard for human life, including their own, at least in Kim Jong-un over in North Korea, that guy just wants to live his own life and live it well. He's like, oh, I love being a dictator. I love oppressing people. I love being a terrible, horrible person. And I don't want to die. I just want to keep getting fatter and be a jerk. And he's horrible. I mean, North Korea is a horrible, abominable place. But Kim Jong-un is smart enough to know you don't poke the bear. He's like, I got my nuke and I'm going to leave it. I don't want to mess with anybody else. Leave me alone. Let me have my little island of whores. And that's what he is. It's a horrific place. It really is. But they're not a threat to anybody else. He's just like, leave me alone. But that's different than what we're dealing with here. These people are literally satanic in the fact that they just don't care. They just don't care. And Trump's trying to free the people. But anybody who thinks we can make a deal with these people, I was listening to Tim Pool and he had Luke Rakowski on, and it's like, he's total lib guy. He's not as bad as like a Dave Smith or somebody, but he's still out there, and he's just so mad about this war. And he's like, oh man. And to his credit, he's not waffling on this. He's just any war always. He's a typical libertard, full on, just cannot ever justify any interactions at all. Always thinks that you just talk to people, everything will be fine, and we'd all be, ring around the rosy, pocket full of posies, holding hands. That's what he believes. And so it's always like, well, obviously you didn't talk to them enough. But it's like, there's no talking to these people. They will get the bomb, and then imagine what they will do with it. Maybe not even use it, but that doesn't matter, because whether they use it or not, once they get that nuclear bomb and an evil regime like this that doesn't care about human life, they can suddenly do whatever they want and know nobody's going to attack them. Nobody's ever going to stop them. You might put boundaries around them. You can sanction them, but they don't ever have to worry about being taken out of power. That's what having a nuke buys you. It buys you that security of your regime. And that, my friend, is what we could not allow Iran to have, because they are such an awful, the number one state sponsor of terror in the world, the one major destabilizer left in the Middle East, and of course, City of London. City of London wanted nothing more than for Iran to have nukes. Why do you think that all these nuke inspectors, whatever it is called, the IAEA or something like that, that goes into these places and is like, oh yeah, hey, show us around. Show us around, Habib. Show us what you got. Oh, wow, this nice little room over here is your nuke building room? Wow, well, sure doesn't look like you're building nukes to me. Looks like you're building energy. I'm going to go file a report with the UN. They don't look, they don't scour, they don't care. They let these countries lead them around as useful idiots. So when they file a report and everybody's like, the IAEA says that they don't have any nukes. It's like, yeah, because they don't even look. They let these people tell them exactly what's going on, and they just check it off They're like, okay, look good. It's like if a social worker went to a house where children were being horrifically abused and all the children were in the basement, and they came in and were like, we've gotten reports. And the people were like, no children here. Look, here's my kitchen. Here's our bedroom. And the social worker's like, well, what about that door? Where's that go? Do you guys have a basement? They're like, oh yeah, we have a basement, but there's nothing down there. And they're like, okay, cool. And bug out. That's exactly how they inspect. That's exactly how they do it. And so you cannot trust anybody's word for it, except for our own intelligence that we get, especially because Trump, unlike Obama, unlike Bush, who were playing the game and who were puppets, Clinton, Bush 1, all these puppets we've had, Trump is like, I'm not playing the game. City of London, all dispersed with throughout the EU, runs the nuclear inspectors. So of course they wanted Iran to have a nuke because Khomeini, as I showed you guys last night, full on bought and paid for in London, property empire in England, in the UK. That guy's got money coming out the wazoo, which makes no sense because this is a great enemy. I could tell you one thing, like, we're not letting the Ayatollah Khomeini have property empire here in the U.S. And my God, we even let the bin Ladens, not Osama himself, but his family have property in the U.S., be hanging out over in the U.S. during 9/11. So but we won't let the Khomeinis. That's how bad they are. But Britain, it's like, cool. What does that tell you? What's that tell you? City of London, man. And they wanted Iran to have that nuke because through Iran, they could funnel that money to the terrorist networks. Through Iran, they could run the Muslim Brotherhood. It's all through them. The roots are all there. They are the ones who want the Middle East destabilized. Keeps the bankers rolling those monies, guys. Keeps them going. So, says they also have property in Canada. Well, that makes sense. The Commonwealth, run by City of London. I'm just telling you guys, it's unbelievable. You just can't make this stuff up once you see it. Rumdog asks, would I say Iran was the instability instigator for City of London? Yeah, absolutely. Well, in that region, for sure. 100%. And that region is extremely important to them because oil, it keeps the money flowing. But not only that, because the oil there is so important, by keeping it unstable, you could pretty much trigger war anytime you wanted to lure the U.S. back in. Anytime you wanted to steal money from the U.S., anytime you wanted to weaken the U.S., distract the U.S. Well, before Trump, we had to go in because we weren't pumping enough oil here. We were a net importer. Now we're a net exporter thanks to Trump. The prices are still affecting us right now because the global economy is still built on all that. But if we had to, if we absolutely had to at this point, we could shut off all import and we could just live on our own oil. It would take a little time and adjustment, but it's possible. And that's what Trump did. But Trump doesn't want that. He wants to keep it going. Keep it going because if the oil's flowing everywhere and we're done with all this instability, we're done with all this puppeteering, this control, the financial system of City of London everywhere, controlling everyone. If we're done with all that and all of a sudden there's not false caps on everything, people can just flow, capitalism can flow, well, oil prices are going to go way down. And watch, once this Iranian conflict is ended, which I still believe it'll end sooner than later, I don't see this going on more than a few more months. And by a few more months, I mean 2-3 tops. And I actually think it'll be done a lot sooner than that. I'm hedging my bets. Let me put it that way. But there's no way this is still going by the midterms. And I still think much sooner than that, especially by what Trump's saying. And I trust Trump. People are like, I saw somebody in here who I already blocked because his comment was so idiotic. I just knew he was going to be blowing up the chat to just cause fights. But was like, how can you still trust this guy after all the lies he said and all the backtracking? I'm like, dude, anytime somebody tells me that Trump just nonstop backtracks, I know immediately they're either trolling or they're just coming from the other side, just trying to stir stuff up. Because nobody who's actually paid attention to Trump the last 10 years believes that even one bit. And that's why he still has 90% approval from his MAGA base, even when he does something like this. Because those people, the people who actually consider themselves MAGA, they've paid attention this whole time and they get it.